Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Turasila binti Abidin and my metric number is 27787. I am from group 6 and my group have chosen the topic entitled Immunities and Diplomatic Relations. So under this topic, we have chosen two separate cases to further elaborate on the topic. So the case that I am going to present is entitled Case Concerning United States Diplomatic and Consular Staff in Tehran. Okay, let me begin by explaining the facts of the case first. On 4th November 1979, a group of students entered the United States Embassy and overtook it. During these 2 hours ordeal, no Iranian security forces were sent to help relieve the situation in the embassy, despite repeated calls from the embassy to the Foreign Ministry office, and despite the effort made by the United States charges the affairs as they contact the Prime Minister office and the Foreign Ministry officials at that time. Although the militant group did not act on behalf of the state, but Iran is still at fault because they did nothing to stop the act, and they could possibly do everything, but they choose to be silent and do nothing. So why is this so wrong? Is because all of those help hostages, around 56 people, all of those are related to diplomatic and consular staff, because in those who were held hostages were diplomatic staff or even administrative and technical staff in the embassy. So it is the Iranian official must protect them no matter what, but then they neglected that action, and thus this case happened. I think that's all from me. I would like to pass the floor to my colleague. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good day. I am Azmina binti Jamaluddin and my matrix number is 277926. I will explain how it is related to the principle of immunities. First, an element of international law that encompasses the powers of the Vienna Convention and Treaty. In this case, the rules of the law are the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic 1961, which stated the embassy would be protected, the Vienna Convention on Consular 1963, which stated the nationals would be protected while in their country, and the 1955 Treaty, which is a treaty between the United States and Iran that promotes good relations and promises protection to its territory and nationals. Next, I will explain the result of the case. The court found that the Vienna Conventions and the treaty were violated as the government of Iran knew of the militants' action and made no attempt to help the United States hostage. Therefore, the court determined that the government knowingly decided to not intervene in the case. Iran, through its 1955 treaty and the Vienna Conventions, must ensure the protection of the United States citizens while they are in Iran. Iran is responsible for releasing the hostage even though they themselves not contain them. Iran was under obligation to ensure that the people as well as the property were protected and should remedy this. The court determined that Iran was more than negligent in these circumstances. On 1 March 1979, they claimed to be making arrangements to prevent the United States from any takeover, and the foreign minister claimed that America was responsible for the incident. Iran deliberately ignored requests for the hostage to be released, and for this reason, will have to make reparation for the action.
A lot of people was wondering, what is actually state immunity? Well, this has become the fact that the rule of the state immunity refers to a country immunity from prosecution in another country courts. And this rule only applies to the legal proceeding in the courts of other states, not in the state of own courts. Then, the rules were developed at the time when it was considered as a violation of state sovereignty to bring proceeding against it or its official in a foreign country. And then after this, without any further ado, I will pass to my friend Shufa to explaining the things a little bit more deeper. Shufa, the time is yours.
Thank you, Sabrina. Hello everyone, I'm Shufa Lakshmi. Now that you guys know what state immunity is, the second case that we chose is jurisdictional immunities of the state between Germany and Italy. So in 1940, Italy entered the Second World War as an ally to Germany, right? But then in 1943, they surrendered and they declared war against Germany. But at that time, German forces had already occupied a lot of Italian territory and they committed a lot of civil crimes. But after the war ended, Germany implemented laws to make it easier to pay compensation to the victims. But a lot of former Italian military internees did not fall within the law, so they couldn't get compensation in Germany. So they brought these civil cases against Germany in Italian courts to claim compensation. On the grounds of immunity from jurisdiction before foreign courts, Germany opposes this process. And the Greece court cancelled Germany's immunity and decided that they have to pay compensation. But Germany still refused because the Greek court's decision cannot be recognized in the German legal order because it has been granted in violation of Germany's right to state immunity. So the judgment couldn't be carried out in Greek, so the prosecutors requested that the case to be upheld in Italian court. So now that this is the case, you may be wondering what are the questions that the court has to answer. There are 3 questions in total. You may wonder how is this case related to the principle of state immunities. The International Court of Justice analyzed the nature of state immunity stemming from the principle of equality of ownership found in Article 2, Clause 1 of the United Nations Charter. For Italy and Germany, this right derives from customary international law in the absence of a treaty to that effect. Moreover, the court ruled that Italy had violated its commitment to respect Germany's immunity to this case. Therefore, the ICJ centered its conclusion based on 2 things. Number 1, the national court's ability, which is Italy, to identify whether judgment of a foreign court, Greece, violated the jurisdictional immunity of a third state, which is Germany. Number 2, the need for waiver immunity before enforcement of a judgment. Therefore, before taking steps to restriction against a property of a third state, the court must be satisfied with 3 things. Number 1, the land of question is being used for something other than government-sponsored non-commercial purposes. Number 2, if the property's owner has expressly agreed to the imposition of a restrictive measure. And number 3, the property in question has been transferred by the state to satisfy a court's claim. So now I will pass the floor back to Sabrina.
Thank you, Shufa. And the next is the principle of judge in resolving the disputes. So the court started with the Italy argument that there are some territorial fault exception in customary international law that excludes state action from immunity to jurisdiction if they occur in the territory of another state. And this claim was rejected as the court could not find support for it in both historical international treaty and customary law. Then the court held that the underlying action was a violation of just consent and therefore allowed the denial of this immunity. And also, this claim also denied several things like Therefore, the court rejected Italy's claim and stated that the decision ordering Germany to pay compensation violated the principle of immunity from this jurisdiction. Regarding the restrictive action against this Villa Vigoni filed by the Greek plaintiff, the court held that it was also granted unlawfully. And then after this, we would like to go to the last part of this case, which is the result case by the court. So, the result is that Italy violated its obligation to respect Germany immunity under the international law by allowing civil charge to be brought against Germany based on the violation of the international humanitarian law committed by the German Reich between 1943 and 1945. This is done by declaring Greek court decision enforceable in Italy and by taking concertaining action between Germany property in the Italy. The court also ordered Italy to apply the law or use the other procedure at its discretion to ensure that courts and other judicial authorities' decision in violation of Germany international immunity, it's no longer a plea. And that is the case number 2 under the jurisdictional immunity of state between Germany, Italy, and also Greece in this situation.